The next scene is built around a soliloquy I wrote for my character earlier in the development of the play. After reading it out to my group, they all thought it was good, but we put it aside for a while in order to work on earlier scenes. Now that we had finished all but the final scene, we went back to the soliloquy and implemented it into the epilogue scene. Whether the epilogue scene takes place in my character's dying mind or the afterlife, it is a setting that is up to the audience's interpretation. In this place, my character is free from his heavily scarred brain and is able to look back on his life with a bitter sense of clarity. The scene has all the characters that aren't mine freeze framing on top of stage blocks, but as my character walks around them, they move slightly, still giving no acknowledgement to my character. The freeze frames show what the characters feel after the surgery. For Luke's character, it's regret and misery, mostly because he has lost his job after the failed surgery that resulted in my character's death. For Jameson's character, it's sadness and anger, as he was very close to my character, and is angry with the events that unfolded in the surgery scene. Jude's character is looking away, trying to cover his face, which shows his ignorance, but also a contradictory feeling of guilt. The torch I used to illuminate each of their bodies symbolises my character's newfound clarity after dying. He is finally able to examine who the people in his life were, after being confused and terrified about everything for so long. These facial expressions and body language demonstrate how the characters feel after the events of the play, hence the name epilogue for the scene. My character talks with regret and sadness in his soliloquy, wishing he could have been more fortunate in his life. He says that his eyes are finally open, meaning that he no longer suffers from the effects of his mental illnesses. He also says that the residue from a lifetime of sleep has been wiped away in an instant, which refers to the fact that his whole life was filled with a lack of lucidity, but now without his illnesses, he is finally awake. He then goes to ask himself if the procedure ran its course. Looking around, he realises where he is, or rather where he isn't, and says that the darkness around me implies that it didn't. After realising that he is dead, my character walks towards the stage amongst the stage blocks, slightly referring to the characters he walks past. When walking past Luke, he says he is silly to be angry at fate. Who am I to tell fate where not to swing its axe? This is referring to how Luke's character was the one who metaphorically swung the axe and accidentally killed me in the surgery. Then, when walking past Jameson, I mentioned that someone in my life once told me that without the bad, good is meaningless. This quote refers to Jameson's character, who possibly tries to comfort my character by telling him this. Finally, I walk up to Jude, the puppeteer of the ignorance that caused my death. Talking at both him and partly the audience, I say, "You may ignore, apologise, or even laugh at my eternal frustration, but here I'll still stand, haunted by the cruelty of my prior situation." This final line contains a lot of meaning. Firstly, my character breaks the fourth wall, questioning the audience that have watched his last days. He talks about the unfairness of his situation in the line, telling the audience that however they trivialise the situation he is in, they'll never understand it properly, and he'll still be dead. The damage is already done. I also integrated a rhyming couplet into the final line, a reference to how Shakespeare ends each of his scenes with rhyming couplets to help cue actors on or off the stage. This means that many famous Shakespearean tragedies end with rhyming couplets, and because our performance has a tragic ending, I thought it would be thematically related.